I knew it would be a challenge for me. And just the concept of having to do something every day, because like a class where there's a group of other people doing it. So, damn it! Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot with my wrap-up for the month of November. Every month I have a focus deck. It's not necessarily the deck of the month. And this month my focus deck was the Hieronymus Bosch Tarot. I've really been wanting to dive into this. And I really thought it was going, because he breaks this deck up into, it just has a completely, Travis McHenry created this deck, lovely trifold box reminiscent of the triptych by Bosch that these are based on. This is one of my art decks. Look at that lovely kind of sky blue gilding. One of the things he does with this deck is, instead of having normal suits, he has the majors, many of which the name is changed. For example, here we are. The High Priestess is changed to the Mistress of Terror. I'd say maybe half of the majors have the name changed. And this is supposed to be about feminine protective power. So they don't always even match the intention of the regular major arcana. The minor arcana, instead of having 4 suits, has 6 suits plus a suit of the 7 deadly sins. Each of those 6 suits has only page, knight, baron, prince or princess, queen, king, ace. And the elements, I'm going to have to pull this away from the screen and put them down so I can filter them first, because there is quite a bit of nudity in this deck. So the elements are split up differently. For example, the skates are a combination of metal and air. And then books are air, but they are the intellectual part of learning. Coins, what would normally be the earth suit, is broken up into coins and berries. Coins is the negative side, like avarice, legal dealings, anything you can think of with money that has a more negative connotation. And the berries has more of the earth and fruition connotation. So the suits are both blended and mixed in the way that they show up. Even in images that are ostensibly more, even with images that appear negative, because a lot of Bosch's images are negative, some of them remain very positive. So it's just a matter of, you really do have to use his, and this is, I don't usually like keywords on decks, but with this deck you really need it, because he changed up the suits so much. And using those, it's a really easy deck to read, because then you can just look up the keyword and then really read it off of the picture. You cannot depend on any inherent knowledge of understanding the meanings of a traditional system because this is a system that is not like any other. And once you wrap your mind around that, it's fine, and it's actually quite an easy read. It's just you can't read it in the way that you might prefer to read. I have said that when I'm reading for other people, I often don't like to have keywords because they can get caught up in them, but they're just a few keywords. And because it's just a few, and then they wouldn't necessarily know what the world means, so it doesn't prevent them from listening to what I'm saying about the meaning of the card because the keywords are few. So I had great trepidation approaching this deck because I thought that it was going to be too complex and too difficult to read. But once I understood that, and I did use this, I often did refer to this chart. He has a very clear chart of his suits, the elements, and the basic meaning of that suit. The other thing that you need to get used to is the relative meanings of the court cards, because there are now 6 court cards. Those are different. That's pretty easy to learn. If you know other tarot decks, you can kind of remember that these are different. For example, the Baron is the lowest of each one of the suits, even though he's here, he's not at the very bottom. He's the lowest embodiment of the suit, so often the most negative. And the King and Queen are the mature aspects of the suit, and it is the Knight that is the mastery of the suit. So that's a little different too. So yeah, it's quite different. But again, having those as his charts were very clear. I have read some of the book, and one of my quibbles with him is he is Travis McHenry does have a darker vision than I would normally work with. Now, and you would say, oh, well, then why did you get a Bosch deck? Bosch was Christian. His worldview was Christian. He was borderline a religious zealot. So the fact that he had all of these images, these fantastical images, he did not mean them to be weird and cool. He meant them to fully represent what he considered to be the brokenness of the world. He would not have been a fun person to know. And it's definitely from a Christian viewpoint and a very intolerant medieval Christian viewpoint of the world. So while he had these fantastical visions, now some of it, if he meant it to be heaven, then that he did mean that to be splendiferous. But a lot of these really fantastical visions of hell that we're familiar with now, and so we often think that they're funny and cool, he really did mean them to be disgusting. He wanted people to be disgusting. He wanted them to see themselves in those things and see people that they knew in those behaviors and see that their downfall in those behaviors. Not somebody I would want to sit down to dinner with under any circumstances. However, seeing his artwork, I very much enjoyed it and very much enjoyed working with it. And that was my focus deck of the month. Of course, one of the practices that I continue on is my daily affirmations post, which are now exclusively on Instagram. I mentioned before, previously I had done the scripture card and the affirmational quote separately. But then when I moved it to Instagram, I just decided to do it as a video and put them together into one. I continue this month using the Golden Tarot of the Tsar. This has been much more work than usual for me because these cards, the definitions follow the icon in the middle. So the definitions aren't always traditional. I'd say 85% of the time they're not traditional. They're slightly different. Well, that's overstating it. Maybe it's 75% of the time. But then there's some that are quite different because of the icon. So again, what I do for my scripture card is I look up their definitions that go with this icon. Using those words, I choose a scripture for the scripture of the day. And then I finished up my time with the Wandering Star very early in the month, the Wandering Star Tarot, which is wonderful. And I don't necessarily choose these decks to go together in terms of visually or anything else. Like normally I wouldn't put these two together. I choose this deck on it being a deck that has a quote in the guidebook. Now the quotes in this guidebook, the Victorian Fairy Tarot, are really just a daily quote. They aren't even necessarily affirmational. But they're very interesting quotes, and they're very well chosen for the individual card. So while these decks are not chosen to coordinate, they still continue the pattern of having a scripture card and a quote. I'm almost done with this deck. I think I will finish it up in about a week. And then in December, I'll be moving into the Gustav Doré Great Bible Tarot for my scripture card. And that's a larger card, and I knew with kind of a golden cast to it, and I did choose this knowing that that change was coming up. So I think they will look better together. They still won't really match, but they'll look a little better together and more compatible in size as well. Okay, let's try this again with the dog in my face, because she can't imagine that I would be outside without being 100% here for her to play to play tug with her. And I hate playing tug. I've always hated playing tug, and it's her favorite thing because, again, I have arm injuries. Now we get back to where I began with the deck. Welcome to my life. That is my life as a caregiver. It's the bell rings and everything I'm doing has to be dropped. It is one of the reasons, in addition to my back and arm injuries from lifting my mother so much, it's one of the reasons that I can't practice anymore. And because anytime I get things set up, I get settled, the bell rings. And then now this is a good 40 minutes after that bell rang because of all the cleaning that I have to do in addition to everything else. So the tiniest violin crying just for me. I know. So it is what it is. It's this season of life, and it's hard, and it's been especially hard the last 2 weeks because both of our caregivers, of course, wanted Thanksgiving off, and now this week they've got grandchildren that are sick, so they're not So we don't have a lot of help anyway. We have a total of 1 day's worth of help spread out over 4 days, 6 hours. But with my back and arm issues, to do a whole week with no help is not good. Just gonna say not good. I've discussed it with physical therapists, I've discussed it with the doctors. The problem is, they're like, well, you could go through an agency. Well, the agencies are having the same problems. The agencies are low on caregivers, and those caregivers want the holidays off. So they're even lower on their staff during the holidays. So I'm not sure that would be a solution to the problem. And then we would lose the caregivers that, for the most part, are reliable and who live quite near us. Sorry. Things like that, I always debate about including, just like with the damn it at the beginning, I debate about including them, but that's the essence of keeping it real. I think it's like, if we're going to be doing this kind of community stuff, keeping it real becomes important. So back to what I was about to talk about. As an insertion, I had done the rest of my on the table stuff late last night, actually, after my mother went to sleep is when I did that. And so I forgot to mention Drop 'em 78, which when I started doing it, I knew it would potentially be a problem because the holidays are always hard. For us, my brother and sister-in-law came the second week of November because they wanted to be at their home on Thanksgiving. And they come for a little more than a day. And so there's whatever preparation I feel I have to do to get ready for them when they're coming. And then they do help a lot. I'm not, they're wonderful. When they're here, they help a great deal. And they actually reorganized an entire room where I was trying to get rid of bunk beds from our childhood and put a day bed in that room, the room where I usually shoot, so that there would be more room in there, and also so that we could give away those bunk beds, donate them, because they're still good, they're still usable. They're bunk beds that can convert to twin beds, but nobody, even on Facebook Marketplace, nobody will buy them because they're not brand new. So they've really helped. And of course, once you start moving beds, it's cleaning, it's organizing, it's all that stuff. And so that was fantastic to have that help. To have their help with that, it could have taken me a week or more on my own around other duties. But the caregiving doesn't end, and my brother isn't used to helping my mother, so I asked him to help lift her one time, and he gave me a lot of pushback. I think he's afraid he might hurt her, and he said he doesn't know what to do. And I'm just like, I have to have your help with this. My back is really bad. Of course, he has a bad back too. So my sister-in-law will say, you wrestles with your back, because we all have scoliosis. And then he and I are tall, so tall people tend to have more back problems. But anyway, so November started Novembering really early in the month, and then Thanksgiving hit, and then it's no help. So it's 24/7, now going on 2 weeks in a row with possibly only 1 day of help in 2 weeks, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So, all that to say, I'm sorry. All that to say that Drop 'em 78, I knew it would be a challenge. But I chose, and I'll insert some pictures, the Winnie the Pooh deck as my main deck. because the guidebook has wonderful stories for every single card. And I wanted to commit to reading that, and I knew that that would add some peace to my life, even though it would also add the pressure of having to do something every single day. And notebook, I hate notebooking. I hate journaling. I'm a writer and I hate journaling. And I have a feeling a whole bunch of people are going to hate me by the end of this video. Oh well. So I knew it would be added pressure too, but I did give myself the grace that I didn't have to post every day. So I ended up posting a lot more than I thought I would. So that was good, both in the Facebook group, and I just recently completed a midway point video, because that's, in some respects, the videos are easier for me to do and to put together. But it's a challenge, and I'm sorry, it hurts. I end up holding my hand here a lot. So it was a challenge, and I did make a decision that 2026, I am not going to do any challenges. I may do some VRs, but challenges, no. And I even tried to reframe this. I've been calling it the Drop 'em 78 study, because that is what it is. It's also a study, but it's a study challenge. And I don't need any more challenges. I just don't. I don't. Oh! A guy who did our garden killed all of my vegetables, and I'm just now seeing that the rosemary bush lived. Huzzah! He took a weed whacker to all of my vegetables in the garden, along by the house. I'm like, what? And I specifically told him to avoid that area too. But so the rosemary survived. That's great. I'm just in the angle. I don't usually sit this way, because I'm sitting this way so that you can see the view of the woods, rather than me being lit well and looking better. Lighting is everything. You learn that when you're doing any film work. Lighting is everything. It can take easily 10 years off of you. So that was the Drop 'em 78. Oh, and I found the other stuff that I was doing. I was still in a Halloween mood after Halloween. And so I was listening to a lot of audiobook ghost stories, and I found this. I listened to Tony Walker. I think his channel is just called Tony Walker. I listened to Bite-Sized Audio. Those are two men that have voices that I like. The Bite-Sized Audio guy has a very kind of sunny, peppy, Victorian voice, and Tony Walker is Australian. It has this deep, gravelly voice, which is great for ghost stories. And then I found a new channel called Miss Worm, and I was really like mainlining Miss Worm. I must have listened to 2 or 3 stories every day. You know, I listen while I'm cooking and other stuff like that. But so once I found her, I was listening to a lot. And as I said, I will often listen to them more than once so that I can pick up on all the details. And since I'm mentioning audiobook channels, I will just plug my audiobook channel, which is Reading Rest Period on YouTube. I got another chapter done in the 4-volume tome Mysteries of Udolpho. I felt really good that I got another chapter done, because I've been off for a couple months from recording. I got a new mic for that, and I'm just having trouble with the setup. If I have a setup that works really well for the sound, but it's uncomfortable because for me to read off the computer, I have to lean over to the mic. And then if I put it, I've tried putting a buffer between the computer, but the mic will, even if it's on directional towards me only, it will still pick up the running of the sound of the computer running if it's too close to the computer. And I read it off of the computer so that I can blow up the print to a larger size, because that makes it easier for me to read through. I have a started playlist where I've been reading short stories from Miss Godey's journal, which was a fashion magazine from the 1800s, and they had a lot of short stories too. And I really enjoy that, and I really look forward to doing more of those. But now that I'm almost at the end of volume 3 of The Mysteries of Udolpho, I want to crack down and get it finished. It's an editing job too, because I'm incorporating music and background music with it, the way I do with a lot of my videos. Well, this is almost 15 minutes of direct address, and I think that's enough. So I'm not sure where this is going to fall in the video, so I think we're just going on to something else. My first pairing of the month was Tarot des Ozarks with the Trust Your Vibes Oracle cards, which were new to me, but I suspected these colors would go really well together, and they did. Tarot des Ozarks is Tarot de Marseille style system, but with these lovely kind of loose watercolor images, and it's really a joy to read with. Of course, I love orange, and oranges predominate, and that's why it was still, you know, beginning of November. I still wanted this fall deck. And so if you read Tarot de Marseille, it's very clear, and there's plenty of other things to give you little intuitive hits to expand the reading. See, look at how these colors coordinate and complement each other. And I didn't get to use this oracle very much because, as most of you know, I don't use a lot of oracle cards usually. I usually use one oracle card as a capper on a reading. So, but these are the wonderful kind of like protect your spirit. These are great oracle cards to form a question if you're using the oracle cards to create your spread. They're just right for that. This is and it's bright and fun. I look forward to using it more. Again, that's the Trust Your Vibes oracle cards. Often with oracle cards, I don't even look at the book. I'm going with the phrase and the image. One of the things I love about the Tarot des Ozarks is the pentacles they're all a little different. But you can easily see the interplay of the colors here is just wonderful. So that was week 1. Week 2, I was using Boadicia's Tarot of Earthly Delights, a deck which has quickly become a soul deck for me or a me deck for me. I feel like this is just a deck that just speaks to me on a really personal level, and encapsulates me, and paired it with Unlocking the Secret Garden Oracle, and I just adored this pairing. So I'm just gonna, that's the Oracle. Oh, here, let me move these up. Oracle and the Tarot. Oracle. They just look I mean, they're both gorgeous in their own right. This has very kind of wacky and silly images as well. These are more kind of esoteric and surreal, but they just blend beautifully, and I just felt that they really spoke to each other so well. Boadicia's Tarot is a Rider-Waite-Smith system deck. The earth suit is changed to fungi. Swords are ether or air. Tentacles is the cups suit. But still, for me, incredibly easy to read, and there's just so much to read in every card, from these very kind of, again, serious and esoteric images to these modern juxtaposed with classical images, and then silly, you know, giraffes that are also candles. It's just incredibly imaginative. This is easily, Boadicea is another deck that easily I could say, I don't feel a need to create a deck because this deck speaks so strongly for me. And as I continue, I think you can just see the interplay between these two decks and their images. That's my dog shaking her head in her collar. So this was week 2, and this week ended way too fast for me because I just thought they worked so beautifully together. Week 3 was Pagan Otherworlds Tarot and the Woodland Warden's Oracle. I wasn't really quite sure what to pair with Pagan Otherworlds if I paired it, but I thought these colorings would complement each other, and I think you can see that already. I like Pagan Otherworlds quite a bit. As other people, I sort of feel that it's a hybrid deck between RWS and Tarot de Marseille. Of course, if you have the Woodland Warden's Oracle, you know it works and plays well with others. And because of the component of animals and nature in the Pagan Otherworlds, I think they worked together and complemented each other very well. Pagan Otherworlds, I love the feel of the cards. I love the illustration. I have not really warmed to this deck yet. It's definitely staying with me, and it's going to remain a working deck. I don't know the phases of the moon, so one of the things that this is helping me learn the phases of the moon, which is great. Woodland Wardens. I really love this oracle. As I said, it works and plays well with others, with many tarot decks. I just got the Tarot of the Woodland Wardens, and unfortunately I just don't like it as much. It's, instead of having these kind of botanical illustrations that we have here, I was really hoping that the tarot was going to continue this like animal and plant for each card. But instead it was more like a fairy tale deck with animals wearing clothing. And while it's very sweet, oh, look at that. While it's very sweet, I love this juxtaposition. And then here, look, with this predominant black coming through. It's lovely, lovely together. While the tarot deck is very sweet, it isn't what I was hoping it would be, and it's not really my cup of tea. I'm probably going to be moving it on. So again, this was a beautiful week with this pairing. Woodland Wardens Oracle and Pagan Otherworlds Tarot. And then on week 4, I began with Folklorist Forest using the Mushroom Oracle with it, but after one day I thought it wasn't working for me visually. And so then I opened up a deck that's new to me, but not new to other people, the Dream Song Oracle, and I just, again, loved the way that they spoke to each other. The Folkloric Forest is quickly becoming a deep, deep favorite of mine. And because it has so few, if any, there are like teeny tiny people there. It doesn't really have many people in it, which is great for making you look deeper and think deeper and bringing out new things. But then the Dream Song does, so they kind of even each other out. The Dream Song is another very surreal deck, kind of like a darker version of the mysterious moments, mystical moments. So the Folkloric Forest Tarot, I've just tremendously enjoyed working with. It's another deck that I didn't want my week with it to end. It's just, it takes me so deep into the imagery and and then pairing it with the Dream Song, since I usually end with that, although I did use some of the Dream Songs to create a spread, and that worked beautifully. But then other times I was just using one card at the end, and they kind of lighten things up a little bit because this is such a pensive deck, which is not a bad thing at all, but beautiful. So my 5th week just began on the 30th, so I'm going to include that with next month, because that was just only Sunday the 30th. So just a beautiful deck. Another wonderful deck, tarot deck by Lennox Reese. And now for the deck of the month, I have to start with the runner-up because I really thought this month was kind of a foregone conclusion. I came into the month knowing pretty well which deck was going to be my favorite for the month. However, the Folkloric Forest really did give it a run for the money. And they're very different decks. But this deck is just so pensive and pastoral and beautiful and meditative. It's hard not to love it. And then when you put on top of it, it's incredibly well chosen and deeply meaningful. And they a lot of the images fit together, and it's easy to read and a strong reader, and so I like what I like the way Lennox Reese writes, even though this book is much more spare than others. I like what she writes, and I like what she has to say. So this came close to bumping my deck of the month, but it did not. And my deck of the month remained the one that I thought it would be, which is, as I said, it's a me deck, Bodesea's Tarot of Earthly Delights. And this deck brings me great joy, and that's hard to beat, and also feels somehow very personal to me. And I think I've said before, and I haven't even gotten into the book very much, and from when I have, I really enjoy what's there, and it just expands everything, because there's so much in each one of these images, that so much to be had and so much to see, and the fungi and flowers, and references to other cultures. Just this is an image that just blows me away. Just an incredible image, and many of them are like that. Although some of them, like this, the asparagus king as the emperor, it befuddles me and makes me laugh. And it has all of that. And on top of that, as I mentioned in another video, each suit is color-coded in the border. Now, I like borders, and I love color-coded borders. So this is a complete me deck. It represents all the classicism and the wackiness that is me. So, and beauty. It's just this incredible mishmash of mixing of all these different elements, and it's just wonderful. And then a wacky back as well. So my deck of the month for November is Bodesea's Tarot of Earthly Delights. This is Cara from Cara Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me in my November wrap-up.